says, when Jesus came into the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, who does men say that the Son of Man, that I, the Son of Man, am? Who do men say that the Son of Man is? Now, I'm going to stop right there because what is interesting is if we look over in Mark and Luke, we come across what appears to be a contradiction. And as you know, if it looks like there's a contradiction, there are critics of Christianity who will pounce on any apparent contradiction. Or it could just be that maybe you're reading through and you go, wait a minute, Matthew says this, but Mark says this. Or Luke says this, and that seems inconsistent. So which one is it? And we want to make sure that we understand that there's things that we come across that should not be a case for doubt. They shouldn't be something that gives us some kind of tension or anxiety over Scripture. Because Matthew just said, let's look at what each one of these say. Matthew says that when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asks his disciples, who do men say that I am? Mark chapter 8, verse 27 says, Jesus and his disciples went on to the villages around Caesarea Philippi. And on the way, he asked them. Okay, now Matthew seems to say that they got there and he asked them. Mark seems to say that on the way there, he asked them. And in Luke 9:18, it says, once when Jesus was praying in private and his disciples were with him, he asked them. No mention of Caesarea Philippi at all. It's like he's having this private and he goes, hey guys, let me ask you a question. So which one? There seems to be some inconsistencies. Are they there? Are they on the way there? Are they somewhere else entirely? What is going on? So where were they whenever Jesus asked this? Well, Matthew says that they were in the region. Let me ask you something about whenever you're talking about regional, an area around something, do we agree on where that begins? Where does a region start? A lot of times we're not talking firm boundaries. Let's say, for instance, you're coming from south, and for whatever reason, you're taking I-35. I don't know why you would, but let's say you are. So you're coming up I-35 from the south, and you're heading towards Waco. At what point in your mind, the way you feel, the way you think, what you recognize, does it enter into your mind that I'm in the Waco area? Is it when you actually cross the city limit sign? Right? Is it whenever you come to Highway 6 and you see that flyover and you go, okay, now I'm in Waco? Or was it maybe back by the Hewitt exit that you kind of feel like, okay, this is the Waco area? Right? Or maybe even back to Lorena. Or maybe you've just grown up in the area and you're so familiar with all of it, right? You hit Eddy and you're like, okay, I'm in the area. Right? We all might have different ideas about where we consider the Waco area to begin. So it's very possible that Matthew is thinking, okay, they were in the area of Caesarea Philippi. But Mark, or more to the point, Peter, who he got his information from, maybe he didn't consider them in the area yet. They were still on the way. Right? And so it could be that somebody's thinking, hey, we're in Lorena and we're, in the Waco area. And someone else says, no, we're not. We're in Lorena. The Waco area starts further down. They're not wrong. It's just a difference of observation, difference of perception. So that right there would not be a contradiction. Okay, but now you got this thing with Luke. Luke doesn't mention it at all. Luke doesn't even say where they are. All it says is that Jesus was off praying privately and his disciples were there. Well, that doesn't contradict with either Matthew or Luke. It just says that they were somewhere, he was praying and decided to ask his disciples something. So Matthew and Luke don't mention the fact that it was a prayer meeting whenever he decided to ask. Well, okay. They don't have to give every single little detail. Neither does Luke. So what we could assume, what's a perfectly good possibility, explanation of what's going on, is that they are on the way to Caesarea Philippi, close enough that someone thinks they're there and someone says, no, not yet. And that they stop in a town, maybe for the night, maybe for lunch, maybe for a break. We don't know. But they're in the area, they're on the way, they stop somewhere, and they're praying, and then Jesus says, hey guys, let me ask you a question. Sees a teaching moment and takes it. None of that contradicts with each other at all. Now, is that explicitly, can we stake our claim, plant our flag on that hill and say, this is what happened? No. But neither should we read those passages and think that they are a contradiction or inconsistency of any kind. And so